everyone, it's Seryoga here and welcome to the Assistance YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 DIY fishing gadgets from the times of the USSR that our parents and grandparents used. I hope you find it interesting, so let's get started, guys. The first DIY gadget I want to tell you about. This is a lure retriever that is very simple and effortless to make yourself. I'm going to slightly modify this DIY gadget and use something instead of a pipe. This is a canister from a pneumatic pistol, and it's already been used. And the first thing we need to do is use a nail or a screw to flare out this hole, making it as big as possible. There was a thin foil there, so we just take it and I'm flaring it out. And next what I did was find some pieces of wire of different diameters and sizes. And now, guys, we need them. Just notice it here and stick it in. Now we need to secure our canister upside down using a clamp or something else. Whoa! And here, drill a small hole. We've got just a small hole on this side, and now we need to make 2 thin holes right here, just a bit more. These holes will be for attaching our retriever to the main fishing line. The metal in the canister is soft, so we can say that we're making 2 small indentations on the fly. Just a little bit, one in the other. Well, roughly opposite each other. Let's drill a hole. We have a piece of wire that's uneven, but we need to make it perfect. Now I'm going to tell you about 2 words on how to easily straighten wire. All we need is some kind of metal pipe. We take our wire, press the 2 edges tightly, and with these movements, our wire becomes perfectly straight with you. Together we made 2 holes for fastening and a hole for filling. Guys, now we need to make a mounting here. How can we easily do that? I'm going to use a nail. A nail of this diameter and the wire that we just straightened. It's very convenient to wind the necessary stitches onto the nail. So we take it like this and just make a wrap. We wrap it tightly, close to each other. We make the wrap tight to each other. There we go, about 2-3 turns. We did it. You can remove it from the nail very easily and simply. And here we actually get even ones, like these loops. And here we get this particular thing. This is for mounting it upwards. Here, now, from our chaotic wire, we simply make our loops, which we have already made. Earlier, we got this thing. There are a lot of hooks here. In order to find our T, the fishing line is threaded here. Here, in this hole, we're going to pour the lead. Our lead is already prepared in liquid form. We've ended up with a release mechanism that has quite a bit of weight. We've poured everything in here, and it turned out like this. How does this release mechanism work? Let's imagine that we caught the wobbler underwater on some stick, branch, seaweed. Here, I'll show you. Here's the lure. I snagged it on a branch and I'm going to pull it with the fishing line. There! But I just can't manage it because there's a big powerful snag. We take it, hook it up, guys, to the main fishing line. Our release mechanism, here it is. This is the main fishing line in my hands where our lure is. And smoothly along the rope we lower our release mechanism. We lower the release mechanism and hit our lure. Look, I hit our snag on the first try. It goes into the T of the lure. And then we pull not on the main line. The main fishing line just stays in our hands like this, while we pull on this rope, yanking it hard. So, our lure comes out of that snag if there's a big root sticking out. You can pull so hard that you can lift this snag, but you see how powerfully. You can lift this snag from under the water. If there is algae, you can simply tear it out. But I'm not going to do that right now because I've specifically snagged the lure on a thick branch. To show you this way, you can easily remove yours. Lure. The next piece of gear that was used before is the bobber that flips over. So, it's weighted differently than a regular bobber. and its main line goes on top. When a fish bites, it just flips over, either completely upside down or it just lies flat. This is a wonderful piece of gear. I will now try to demonstrate how it works when a fish bites. And I will of course tell you how to make it. This kind of sports bobber that flips over is currently easiest to make from two. Plastic lids of different colors were previously made, of course, not from other materials, but now it is easiest to repeat it. That's right, using two caps. If you have any foam balls, that's great, we can use them right now. If you don't have balls or foam, then guys, I recommend that you just take some foam and to crush it. You can either use something else or just make a canopy without it, but it is better to add a few foam balls inside to make the float work. Even a small amount of foam balls will already give, guys, the best loading of this float. Now we need to glue the two caps tightly together. For this, we take super glue and go around the perimeter, making sure to cover it tightly everywhere. We need to make sure everything is sealed. My friends, it's airtight. We apply super glue, close it up with super glue, and stick the second cap on top, making sure it's perfectly aligned. You definitely need to check that everything is even and that our bobber is glued with glue everywhere. It's better to add a little more glue, just like that around the perimeter, friends, so that everything is glued everywhere. Now we need to drill a hole right in the center of our cap. There is a mark there. We do the same thing on the other side. There's a mark here too. So we ended up with this. Two caps and holes in the center, 1 and 2. I have it from an old bobber. You can cut this long tube like this. Both of them worked out. It's inside, we have it. It's completely empty. And now, guys, we thread it through like this. Here. So this is how it goes. Dig here, and you and I will get out on the other side. The hole should be like this, or rather, the opening should be such that the bobber, this tube, fits tightly in there. Very tightly, in a very specific and careful manner, with a little bit of tension, as it were, so to speak. And now, at this point, we need to... Here's the joint area. On this side and that side, make sure to glue it well with super glue. We place a cloth underneath and make sure to glue everything well. Here comes our main line with the hook. So this is the bottom and here's the tip. At the tip we add a weight, like a sinker, so that our bobber stays upright. So when we cast, it goes like this. The rig, not from the bottom, but the hook goes from the top down. And here we have the hook. When a fish bites, the bobber either gets pulled down or flips upside down. I made it in two colors on purpose so that it would be visible during a bite, whether there's a bite or not. So blue is the neutral position, and when there's a bite, it turns red. Guys, you often ask where you can buy fishing gear at a good price and with the right specifications. I use the e-catalog. The e-catalog, we type fishing in the search. And now I'll show you, using the example of reels, how to choose a reel for fishing. Let's choose, for example, the manufacturer Daewoo. The type of reel is a spinning reel, and the spool size is from 3000 to 3500. We click on show. The service shows us a lot of reels based on the specified parameters. We choose the Daewoo Ninja 3000A reel. We can see that we have a photo of this reel, a full description, and below it, there are many stores that can offer it at a better price. As we can see, the prices vary a lot, and you can save a good amount. Let's compare this reel with some other one. Here it is. Daewoo Ninja 301. 3.2, 2A. We click on it and then click Add to Compare. We click on Compare. We have e-catalog. They immediately show the parameters that differ for these products. We can see that these reels differ in spool capacity and weight. We can also look at all the parameters for these reels. It's very convenient. If you're looking for a product, guys, the link to the e-catalog will be in the description below this video. And the next DIY project is a 2-zone bobber, which is made from a rope sheath. This amazing bobber can be made very easily. And it's, guys, a 2-zone or 2-position bobber. So you can adjust the sensitivity depending on what you're fishing with. For small bites, you can see them on this spring, while strong bites are visible on the bobber itself. You can also adjust it by inserting this spring stronger, depending on what tackle you're using. And small bites will be visible on the spring, while strong ones will be seen on the bobber itself. Or just push it all the way down. And just a bright cap will simply indicate bites. You can make such a wonderful bobber from some old rope, or rather from its sheath. Here I have a casing from a motorcycle cable. And from this casing we cut off about 30 centimeters, which will be the length of our future bobber. Naturally, now when the fish bites, we can see the bite on the bobber. In the past we used to put big bells here, any beads we had, made our own stuff, painted them with varnish, paint. But now there are these soft winter bobbers available for sale, soft ones. For this tackle, it will be a very soft bobber, but you can make a 2-step bobber like this. It works. We insert this tackle in there and we'll be able to see the bite. You can see a weak bite on this bobber and a strong bite on the whole bobber. You can also adjust it for tension, so you can make a sensitive setup that will bend the whole bobber when a big fish bites. Or you can just make it sensitive like this. Or you can push it all the way inside and it will just be a bright little cap. I'll demonstrate it one more time. Only the front part of the bobber works with small bites. With strong bites, the whole bobber works. Such a stiff bobber is needed for fishing in the current. Let's say when you're fishing with a ring tackle or with an egg tackle. Now, by the way, I'm going to tell you how to make a very simple egg tackle. The next DIY project I'm going to tell you about, it has a very strange name, eggs. I won't say why it's called that. Guys, I'll tell you how to fish with it and how to make it very easily. Egg tackle. The easiest way to make it is from a pin. That's about 5 to 7 centimeters long. You need to have the pin on the backside right away. If you can reach it, if you can't reach it and the pin is good, then you just need to bite it off as high as possible near its base. Like this. Now guys, what do we need? We're putting the pin aside for now and taking 2 sinkers. But in this case, I'm taking 10-gram sinkers. Here are the detachable ones that we use for spinning. Let's separate them. Here, we already have a hole inside. You can easily insert our pin into this ready hole. Wait, and on the other hand, if the holes on your cheburashkas are small, it's not a problem. You can easily fix this. Here, we just insert it, we see. Here, even the needle came out from this side. Well, and here we take it like this and just put it on very tightly. And with light taps of pliers, we drive our cheburashka in there deeper. It is necessary that these balls are in this position all the time. Closed. Now here they are. They are opening. We're taking again, carefully removing our balls and just bending our pin back as much as we can. We take the first ball and grab a hammer. Well, this is of course a big hammer. Let's take something smaller like this. And with the small hammer, we make a single precise hit. Exactly where we need it. And we hit the second ball in exactly the same way. It flattened down, and both balls are holding tight. We separate our little balls and attach them to the line. They do not fall out of the line on their own, but rather are held tightly and firmly on it, even under their own weight. When a bite happens, they just pop off the main line like this. Hop! Hop! You see, we have a side rod with us, and we will make a tackle out of it. Guys, the first thing we need to do is secure our already prepared tip, right up here. But as we can see, there's a ring here, and our tip doesn't fit through this ring. To remove the top ring from this kind of rod, I previously shared a life hack with you. You can easily do this using a lighter. We need to heat the top ring. And then she will easily slide off from here, and our ring can be easily removed anyway. Be very careful. The ring gets really hot, and it's better to do this using pliers. Now, our edge is free. We can attach the float here, and we need to keep the ring so we can put it back on later to secure our float. Well, I will attach it like this using black electrical tape. We have created a short side fishing rod on top, and our homemade float below. Here's the end of the line, guys. The eggs are threaded through here, and they just hang. Now, we take and put a bead here. Any bead you have will do. Got it? As long as this bead doesn't slip through, so to speak, the whole of our pin like this, and here we tie the swivel. Now I'll briefly tell you how to fish with it. Guys, in order to fish with this tackle, you need a current, meaning it should be a river with a moderate or strong flow. You need to make a feeder. It's best to make the feeder from this kind of mesh by hand. This mesh comes from flowers. You know, when you give women flowers, they are wrapped either in paper or in this kind of mesh. This mesh has a good fine mesh size. I don't recommend using a large mesh size because in the current, all the bait will quickly spill out. In general, we make a feeder of good volume, and there should be a weight at the bottom of the feeder, maybe a brick or half a brick. Let's imagine for a moment that this is our feeder with the weight, my box. It's naturally tied with some kind of line or thick fishing line. Now I'm tying the line or a thick fishing line, and it's right in front of us downstream. And the upper edge, if we fish from a boat or we fish from some bridge, it's naturally tied to our boat. So let's imagine that this, for example, is our feeder, and it has moved a little bit forward. This is the line or fishing line where our feeder is tied. Now we take our tackle. And since our tackle is moving, we attach the weight to the end, where we have the swivel. We tie on the leader, 1 or 2 leaders. The length can vary. Guys, it depends on the current, 1 meter to 1.5. The fishing line used is 0.4, 0.6. Like this, we take our weight, spread the sinker. The sinker is spread apart and inserted between this line. They are tightly closed. And that's it. Nothing falls out. So now, guys, we take the tackle from the boat and drop it down to the very bottom. The very bottom, it's pressing against us. Here you can make a stopper, but it's best to bring this tackle all the way to the end. Without being afraid that something will get tangled up, there's not to get tangled up in here. Our leaders are being pulled down by the current since they are light, moving forward. The current washes the mash out of our feeder from the net, and the particles move forward. They move, attracting the fish. And our leaders are flopping around up ahead. And when a bite happens, you're sitting up in the boat, and this tip is pulled tight. You can lower it a bit, depending on the current, and you watch. When a bite happens, your tip starts to twitch, you make a sharp hook set, and that brings it up. Since everything here is tightly secured, if the fish is biting and it's quite big so it doesn't flop around or get tangled up anywhere, with the help of our weights, this tackle simply jumps out of our rope and is released. Once it pops up, you can easily land the fish anywhere on your boat. I'm showing it again. We thread it through here, drop it from top to bottom, and then we sit and wait, watching the float for bites. When a bite happens, we just set the hook and the tackle gets released. Either that or the fish, when it strikes hard, can release the tackle itself. And nothing gets tangled up. You bring everything in just like that. That's how this tackle works. And just like that, you can make it in just a few minutes using completely improvised materials with a nice soft float. Because the float for this tackle needs to be fairly stiff and long. But finding a knot on the market with such characteristics is quite problematic, so that it is rigid and good. And this float and the little weight are just what you need, and you'll be able to see all the bites from your fish. The next homemade product is a homemade lead weight with a mount and a super luck. Previously, all the weights were poured out by our grandfathers and parents themselves. They used lead, made a fire, and poured out the weight. Now I also want to tell you a very simple way how you can make either a conical sinker or a cylindrical one, or a sinker of any other arbitrary shape. Guys, whatever you can think of. This is a very simple method, and I hope you'll like it too. To make lead weights, whether cone-shaped or cylindrical, we'll need paper, scissors, and duct tape. I folded the paper several times to make it denser. It's just regular A4 paper, and we are rolling a cone. Cone, guys, we roll it up to the diameter and length we need. We simply take it and wrap it with duct tape. You can use Scotch tape, but I recommend electrical tape. It is thicker and less susceptible to temperature effects. Still, regular tape will just melt instantly. In the same way as he, with thoughts, made the cylinder. Now, the guys, if you need to add a circle there so that it fits right away, I recommend doing it like this. You just take a cork and thread a swivel through it, folding it in half at the point where it twists at the top, and make a loop of the size you need. In this way, you get loops on both sides and the rest is just to be attached. If you need the swivel to be at the top of the cone, then we secure it. If you need the swivel to be at the top of the cone, then we secure it. This way we push the wire deeper and leave it sticking out here. If it's at the bottom of the cone, then we just insert our wire from the lower part, right here, and leave the swivel sticking out. Now we will need a bucket with wet sand. Wet sand. Guys, that's a great shape. So what we're doing now is just making a small hole. Now we're placing our cylinder there. Based on our size, you don't even need to make a bottom for the cylinder. And carefully around, so that the sand doesn't get into the middle of the mold, I just bury it. Now, we can carefully take it all out. First we take out ours. Cylinder. You can set aside any excess lead. It can be recycled, both this one and this one, many times. If there's trash in the lead when you're melting it, it floats to the top during the melting process. So it doesn't take any effort at all. You can just cut the bottom straight and you'll get a nice flat weight cylinder with that swivel. Let's see what's going on with the cone. Everything is good with the cone too. So here we have the swivel and here's the weight. Now I'll take all this off and show you what we've got. Inside, we can just press everything down, guys, into the vise. Cut it off. The excess edge at the bottom, this crooked part, using a hacksaw. If you want, you can use a file to remove all the imperfections. We've got a good weight for a bottom fishing rod, a throw line, or some other tackle. Well friends, I've put together this collection of DIY projects. If you liked everything, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and definitely let me know in the comments. Which DIY project did you like the most? Whether it's from a separator, or tackle for eggs, or maybe something else. I will be waiting for your comments. And also let me know what I should do next time. A collection of fishing life hacks, some DIYs. I wish you all good luck. May you have a great fishing trip, no tails, no scales. And I'm off. I'm going to throw out the line.